They used to call me the strong one. Not because I was brave, but because I didn't complain when they handed me the bill. I don't know when I stopped being a daughter and started being their bailout plan. Maybe it was the first time I paid my mom's rent so the lights would stay on. Or when I gave my brother my car, the one I just finished paying off. Maybe it was when I stopped saying no at all. But this unraveling started the day I got the invoice. $12,400. For a birthday party. For my mother. A party I wasn't even invited to. Hi. I'm Kelly. 36. Project manager. Single. Always the one who volunteers to take the notes at work, books the flights for the family vacation, picks up the slack without being asked. My nickname in college was Clipboard Kelly. Organized, dependable, boring. But reliable. That label followed me like static. Into every job, every relationship, every family group text. Especially the group text. There's 5 of us in it. Me, my mom, my sister Lauren, my brother Drew, and my mom's companion, Glenn, who's not our dad, but started weighing in like one the second he moved in. That morning, the text lit up before I even had coffee. Lauren. Hey Kel. We went ahead with the birthday thing. Sorry we didn't loop you in, it all happened so fast. Total came to $12.4K. You know we can't afford it. And you're the only one who always saves a sparkling heart. I stared at it. Scrolled up. No previous conversation. No missed calls. Nothing. No, can you contribute? No, are you coming? Just a number. A decision. A demand. And that emoji, the heart. Like it softened anything. I didn't respond. Not to the follow-up where she sent a Venmo request. Not to the second message, Mom said you take care of it. You always do. I just sat there. Thinking about the last time I saw my mom. It was 6 months ago. I flew home for her checkup because she doesn't trust doctors unless I'm there. I held her hand while she got her blood drawn. I paid the copay. Then took her to Olive Garden because she cried and said no one makes her feel safe but me. Then nothing. No thank you. No call after I left. No invite to the birthday party I guess I was funding. That night, I opened my laptop. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I logged into the insurance portal and removed myself as her emergency contact. Canceled the auto payment for her prescriptions. Revoked the power of attorney I'd signed during the pandemic, just in case. Then I closed the laptop and went to bed. But I didn't sleep. Because that's when I remembered something Lauren once said, years ago, when she was drunk at Thanksgiving and didn't realize I was still in the room. She likes Kelly because Kelly never asks for anything. It sounded like a compliment at the time. Now it just sounds like a warning. I don't know what you would have done. But I started by vanishing. No replies. No payments. No explanations. Just silence. The next morning I got a message from Glenn. Hey kiddo. No word from you about the invoice. We went ahead and added your name to the party banner, thought that was sweet of Lauren. Let us know when the check clears. The banner. My name. Like a trophy wife who donated a wing. I didn't answer. But I did go looking. Not for the banner. For something I hadn't thought about in a long time. The file folder in the back of my closet labeled Dad. Because here's the part one didn't mention. My real dad left when I was 12. And my mom never talked about him again. She said he didn't want to be found. But what if that wasn't the whole truth? What if someone else decided what parts of my story I was allowed to remember? You ever feel like your whole life has been someone else's version of convenient? That's where I was. Sitting on the floor, cross-legged in old pajama pants, holding a yellowed envelope addressed to Kelly if you ever need answers. I never opened it. Not even when I found it 10 years ago, tucked inside a book my father gave me before he left. But now? Now I had nothing but questions. And one sealed envelope. I tore it open. The handwriting was jagged, frantic. Just 3 lines. They made me leave. You were never supposed to know. I didn't walk away, I was erased. Don't trust the version they gave you. I swear I stopped breathing for a second. Not because of what it said, but because of what it meant. Because that night, I realized something no one ever told me. My silence wasn't loyalty. It was erasure. You ever wonder if maybe the reason you're the strong one is because they needed you too numb to ask questions? The envelope was faded. The paper smelled like old smoke. But the words were fresh. And they burned. You ever feel like your childhood just glitches? Like 1 minute it's a warm memory, birthday cake, family road trips, lullabies, and the next it's static. Scrambled footage. A dream someone else described to you too many times until you believed it was yours? That's how it felt after I read the letter. I kept rereading the same sentence, you were never supposed to know. Who decides what we're supposed to know? Because I sure as hell didn't sign off on being the family ATM with amnesia. The next few days I went full clipboard Kelly mode, except this time, I wasn't organizing for them. I made a list. A literal spreadsheet. Years I covered rent, bills, tuition. Every time I flew home and they didn't. Money I lent that never came back. Medical paperwork I'd signed. Birthday parties I wasn't invited to. The total came to just under $112,000. And not a single thank you card. Just expectation layered over silence buried under that one damn sentence. You always come through. I started digging. That yellow envelope, the one from my dad, had a return address. Faded, almost unreadable. Somewhere in Oregon. I knew better than to get my hopes up. For all I knew, it was decades old. But I Googled the address anyway. Nothing current. The house had been sold 3 times since the date on the letter. But there was one hit, a comment on a decades-old forum about vintage car restorations. The username matched a nickname I hadn't heard in over 20 years. Wheels 34. That was my dad. He used to call me Spokes like I was part of the wheel. I clicked through. He'd only ever made 7 posts. But the final one had a photo, grainy, scanned, old school, of a red 72 Mustang. And in the background, a little girl on his shoulders. Me. That's when I started shaking. Not just because of the photo, but because of the date it was uploaded. 2 years after he disappeared. He was alive. He wasn't hiding. He had internet. And he posted me. So if he didn't leave willingly. Someone lied. I called my mom. First time in weeks. She didn't pick up. Of course she didn't. So I left a voicemail. Just one sentence. What did you mean when you told me Dad didn't want to be found? No response. But later that night, my phone buzzed. Not a call. A text from Lauren. WTF are you doing? That was it. No context. No emoji this time. Just 5 words that didn't make sense until I realized what she meant. I'd forgotten we shared a cloud backup. She had access to my photos, my files, my searches, and I just saved the forum post. She knew. And she was mad. Want to laugh? Go ahead. But this happened. That's when it clicked. They didn't want me to find him. Because if I did, their entire script would fall apart. The one where I was the strong one, the unlucky one, the one whose father didn't love her, but who still showed up anyway. The one who never asked why. That story only works if I never start digging. I went to my childhood storage unit the next day. It smelled like mildew and stale cardboard. My name was still sharpened on all the boxes. I opened one marked old school stuff. At the bottom, tucked between report cards and participation trophies, was an old VHS tape. No label. Just a crack in the plastic and a post-it note that said 4th grade. I don't know what I expected. Maybe a class recital. A science fair. What I found changed everything. There was footage of me birthday party 10 years old, bouncing on a trampoline. My dad filming. He was laughing. I was laughing. You could hear my mom in the background. The camera zoomed out for a second and caught something I didn't remember. An argument. My mom yelling. My dad holding his hands up. Her finger in his face. Then cut. The next clip was her smiling at the camera with her arm around me. But something in her eyes. It looked forced. Like she'd flipped a switch. Do you know what it does to your brain when your memories don't match the evidence? It's not just confusion. It's betrayal. It's waking up and realizing your whole childhood might have been a curated exhibit, designed to keep you loyal, broken, and blind. I sent the VHS to be digitized that night. Then I called Drew. He's the golden child. Always broke. Always about to launch something big. But he's also the one who cried when our dog died and once drove 3 hours to jump my car. I asked him straight up. Did Mom make Dad leave? There was a long pause. Then he said, I don't think you want the answer to that. That's when I knew. The lie wasn't just mine. They all knew. Lauren, Drew, Glenn, even my mother's friends probably. They'd built a whole mythology around poor Kelly just to keep me funding the fairy tale. And here's the kicker. While I was sitting in my car, reeling, my phone buzzed again. A new Venmo request. From Lauren. Caption, cake delivery. Mom says thanks. You probably think I'm being dramatic. Maybe I am. But tell me, would you keep paying after that? The VHS ended on a single frame of my dad waving, eyes red, like he knew it was goodbye. That's when I stopped watching. And started remembering. You ever have a moment where your whole body rebels? Like your mind is screaming stay calm, but your chest is hot, your hands are trembling, and every cell inside you is standing up at once saying no more? That was me. Sitting in my car, gripping the steering wheel like it could keep me from unraveling. Watching that cake request pop up while my father's face, my real father, not the placeholder they replaced him with, flashed behind my eyes. He looked sad in that video. Not like a man walking away. Like someone who was being left behind. I didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt. But because I was too busy flipping into execution mode. I was done waiting. I wanted answers. And for once I wasn't going to be polite about it. I drove straight to my mother's house. Didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't ask. The driveway was packed. Probably leftovers from the party I wasn't invited to. Balloons half deflated on the porch. Plastic champagne flutes in the grass. I knocked twice. Glenn answered. In sweatpants. With my name stitched into the towel around his neck. A gift I'd sent Mom 5 years ago. Hey kiddo, he said like nothing was wrong. Where's Mom? I asked. His smile faltered. She's resting. She can rest after she explains why she lied to me for 24 years. He tried to stall. Tried to guilt-trip me. Said she was fragile. Said I should let the past be the past. You know what people never say when they're the ones who got screwed? Let the past be the past. They only say it when they're afraid of what you'll find there. I pushed past him. And there she was, my mother, in the kitchen icing leftover cake. Still in full makeup. Like the party never ended. She looked up. Startled. Kelly. Yeah, I said. Hi. Long time. She smiled. Too sweet. What's going on? I held up my phone. Showed her the digitized video still of Dad waving goodbye. Then I said it. What did you do to him? She didn't flinch. She just tilted her head. Like I'd asked how to fix a printer. Kelly, sweetheart, she said. I don't know what you're talking about. You told me he left us. He did. You told me he didn't want to be found. He didn't. He posted a picture of me 2 years later. You were still with him. What changed? Her smile dropped. She opened the fridge and pulled out a bottle of wine. I watched her pour a glass with the same hand she used to sign every one of those just one more favor emails. Then she said, he was unstable, Kelly. He wasn't safe. I did what I had to do. I felt something in me crack. Because I remembered it then, the fight. Not the video version. My version. I was in my room. Door cracked. I remember hearing my dad say, you can't just erase me. And my mom saying, watch me. I asked her point blank, did you force him out? She took a sip of wine. Then smiled again. Let's not rewrite history. That was it. No denial. No apology. Just a deflection like always. I walked out without another word. Drove to a park. Sat on a bench with my coat zipped up to my chin and the video still playing on loop in my hand. I called Drew again. Tell me what you know. He sighed. Mom didn't like how much time you were spending with Dad. She thought he was turning you against her. Said he was poisoning your mind. That you were too impressionable. So she kicked him out? She threatened him. Said she'd file for full custody, claim mental instability, and get a restraining order if he didn't disappear quietly. I couldn't breathe. She said he could see us when we were older. If he stayed gone. I didn't even know I was crying until I felt the wind chill the streaks on my face. She didn't protect me. She didn't choose what was best for me. She chose what was easiest for her. You ever get that sinking realization that the parent you spent your life defending might have been the villain? Yeah, that. I filed for a copy of the original custody paperwork the next morning. The court clerk found the file sealed but accessible with ID. I sat in the lobby, flipping through pages I wasn't supposed to see. There it was. A full statement from my father. He wrote, I'm leaving to protect my daughter. Her mother has threatened legal action and manipulation. I don't want Kelly to grow up in the middle of a custody war. There was no evidence of abuse. No psychiatric evaluation. No police reports. Just a single woman, good with words, painting a picture convincing enough to win. Because the court always favors the stable parent. The one who stays put. The one who pays the bills. Sound familiar? That afternoon I made a decision. I bought a one-way ticket to Oregon. I don't know what you would have done, but sitting still started to feel like betrayal too. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. I just packed a bag, changed my voicemail and locked the door. And as the plane lifted off, I whispered something I hadn't said in 2 decades. I'm coming, Dad. It's a strange thing, packing for a man you haven't seen in 24 years. Do you bring photos? Gifts? Resentment? I brought all 3. Plus a notebook. One I'd filled on the plane, page after page of questions I never got to ask. Some were angry. Some were hopeful. A few were just quiet. Like, did you miss me? Do I laugh like you? Why didn't you fight harder? But here's what I wasn't prepared for. The answer that mattered most wasn't any of those. I landed in Portland, rented a car, and drove through a blur of trees and misty air. The town was tiny. 1 diner, 1 gas station, a used bookstore with a cat sleeping in the window. His house was 3 miles up a gravel road. No mailbox. Just a wooden sign that read, Hollow Bend, and a path lined with lavender. I didn't knock. I couldn't. I sat in the car for 17 minutes, watching the porch light flicker, trying to remember how his voice sounded. What if I'd imagined the good parts? What if he had left me? What if this whole thing was just me spiraling, projecting? And then the door opened. He didn't step out. He just stood there, framed by warm yellow light, holding a mug with both hands. He looked older than I expected. Grayer. Slower. But his eyes, they were the same. Soft. Alert. Like he'd been waiting without ever saying so. I got out of the car. He didn't move. I walked up the porch stairs one by one like a kid learning to walk again. And then I said it. "Hi, Dad." He set the mug down and pulled me in like he hadn't aged a day. Like he'd been holding his breath for 2 decades. He didn't say anything for a long time. He just kept whispering, "You're here. You're really here." And for once I let myself believe it. We didn't talk about my mother that first night. Instead, he showed me his workshop. An old barn converted into a car studio. Rows of tools, scattered blueprints, a half-restored Mustang under a tarp. I spotted a photo taped to the wall. Me, age 9, grinning with 2 missing teeth and oil-stained jeans. He caught me staring. "I looked at that every morning," he said. Kept me going. We made grilled cheese for dinner. No pressure. No emotional dumping. Just 2 people tiptoeing back into a relationship they were robbed of. I slept in the guest room. Not because I had to, but because I needed time to stop flinching at kindness. The next morning I made coffee. Washed the mugs. Watered the lavender. And cried in the bathroom so quietly it didn't echo. Because here's the thing no one tells you. Even when you find the missing piece, it doesn't make the puzzle whole again. You still see the scratches. The tape. The parts that don't fit like they should. A few days passed. We found a rhythm. Morning walks. Evening stories. Old memories poured out like softened wax, reshaped, but never quite melted. He told me things I'd forgotten. How I used to tuck rocks into my socks for protection. How I once told a teacher I wanted to be a fixer of broken things. How I used to whisper, "Don't go," even before he left. I listened. But I didn't cry again. Not until the day the package arrived. It was a plain envelope. No return address. Inside a birthday card. Cheap. The kind you find at the dollar store. On the inside, in perfect, familiar handwriting. "You've made your choice. Just don't come back when it falls apart. Mom." No, dear. No signature. Just a warning. A punishment wrapped in passive aggression. You ever realize someone only loved you when you were useful? Yeah. That. I didn't show my dad the card. But I think he saw it in my face. That night, after dinner, he said, "Your mother always wanted control. She called it care. But it was control." I nodded. Because I finally understood. They didn't lose me. They designed a version of me that wouldn't ask questions. That kept paying. That stayed quiet. Now that version was dead. The next morning I made a list. Not of bills. Not of favors owed. But of boundaries. I would not respond to guilt texts. I would not explain my absence. I would not wire money. I would not apologize for reclaiming my story. And at the top of the list in red ink. Silence is not peace. It's permission. I posted a single photo to the family group chat that afternoon. Me and Dad. At the lavender field. Smiling. No caption. Just proof. Proof that he was real. That he never left. That their version wasn't the only one. No one replied. Except Drew. 2 hours later, he sent a voice memo. I played it, heart pounding. His voice was tired. "Hey, I'm glad you found him. I really am. I didn't know what to do when she started lying. We were kids. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner." I sat on the porch after that. Sunlight hitting the edge of my notebook. I flipped to a blank page and wrote one line. "I can't undo the past. But I can stop repeating it. And if you're wondering why I didn't go back home, yeah, same. I kept asking that too. The card is still in my bag. But now it's folded behind a photo of me and my dad. I made lunch. I watered the plants. I didn't cry. You ever rehearse a conversation in your head so many times that when it finally happens, your silence is the loudest thing in the room? That was me. 2 weeks after I posted that photo of me and my dad, the past showed up. Not as a letter. Not as another Venmo request. But as her. Started with a knock. Mid-afternoon. Oregon sun soft through the kitchen curtains. My dad was out back changing the oil on a neighbor's truck. I opened the door. And there she was. My mother. Wearing all black like she was headed to a funeral. Big sunglasses. Designer handbag. Lipstick too perfect for the gravel road. For a second I thought it was a hallucination. But then she said it. "Kelly, you look tired." I didn't answer. She stepped forward like it was her house, like she still had a key. I didn't move. She stopped. Looked past me into the hallway. Her voice dropped to that tone she used to use at parent-teacher meetings. Falsely warm, overly rehearsed. I was in Seattle visiting Glenn's daughter. Thought I'd swing by. Say Say hi. Seattle was 5 hours away. But sure. Just a swing by. I let her in. Because I wanted to see what lie she'd tell next. She sat at the kitchen table. Looked around. Wrinkled her nose at the scent of lavender and engine grease. You really like it here? I didn't answer that either. She poured herself a glass of water like it was a hotel lobby and stared at me for a long time before saying it. We missed you. I blinked. We. You know. The family. Which one? Her lips twitched. Kelly, don't be like this. Like what? Dramatic. There it was. The old script. I was dramatic. Overreacting. Fragile. Sensitive. It was their favorite defense. When I stopped being useful, they started being concerned. You erased him, I said. Her jaw tightened. Your father left. He didn't. She looked at me like I was a toddler misremembering a bedtime story. I did what was necessary. You lied. I protected you. No. You protected yourself. From losing control. She didn't deny it. She just changed tactics. Look, she said, adjusting her scarf. I know you're upset. But there's no reason to throw away your whole family over one misunderstanding. One misunderstanding. Like 2 decades of manipulation could be filed under oops. And then she said something that made my skin go cold. You know he won't stay well. He never does. That's why I kept you safe. I stared at her. He's not sick. She raised one perfect eyebrow. That's what he wants you to believe. That was the moment I saw her clearly. Not as a mother. Not as a victim. But as a strategist. She hadn't come to apologize. She came to win. Mom, I said slowly. If you're here to rebuild something, start by telling me the truth. Silence. Then, I already told you my truth. That's when I stood up. Walked to the door. Opened it. I don't want your version anymore. She didn't move at first. Just sat there watching me. Studying. Calculating. Then she rose, smoothed her skirt and walked past me, slow like she was leaving a courtroom after a loss. At the door she turned. I hope he doesn't break your heart like he broke mine. I didn't reply. Because here's what no one tells you about reclaiming your story. You don't owe the villain a closing monologue. She got in her car. Drove away. No hug. No promise. No second look. And I stood on the porch for a long time after, listening to the silence. Wondering how long she'd practiced that goodbye. That night I told Dad everything. He didn't seem surprised. He just nodded and said, She's never lost before. You ever realize someone loved the idea of you more than the real you? She loved the strong daughter. The silent one. The paying one. But this version of me? The one who asks questions. The one who walks away. The one who remembers. That version was a threat. 2 days later Lauren called. Not a text. A full 3-minute voicemail. Her voice cracked in the beginning like she'd been crying. I don't know what Mom told you, she said. But she's not well. She misses you. We all do. You don't have to burn everything down, Kelly. You've always been the smart one. The calm one. I almost laughed. The calm one. Like I was a thermostat they could reset. I didn't call her back. But I did send one thing. A photo. Of the custody papers. My dad's full statement. Circled in red. No caption. No context. Just truth. She never responded. But 2 days later Drew texted me again. She's spiraling. Just a heads up. You ever notice how people only call you crazy when you stop playing by their rules? The wine glass she used is still in my sink. Lipstick mark smeared. Water untouched. She said she missed me. I said nothing. It's funny. When you finally say no, the people who've lived off your yes the longest are the ones who take it the hardest. My silence? That's when the real noise began. It started slow. A few mutuals unfollowed me. Subtle comments under old Facebook posts. Things like, hope you're healing or families are complicated. The kind of passive-aggressive fluff that sounds like support but stings like judgment. Then came the email. From Glenn. Subject line. For the sake of harmony. It was a full-page essay. Diplomatic. Condescending. Said he'd always seen me as a daughter but that I was doing damage I didn't understand. That my mom's health was declining rapidly from stress and that I should consider the greater good. The greater good. That phrase used to work on me. Back when I thought keeping the peace was the same as being kind. But peace without truth? That's just a prettier cage. 2 days after that email, someone forwarded me a post. A public one. My mother had written it on her neighborhood Facebook group. A long, flowery update about estranged daughters, painful betrayal, and how some people forget who held them during their darkest hours. No names. Just implications. And a photo of her holding a cake. The cake. The one from her party. The one I supposedly funded. The caption read, "We forgive. That's what real family does." Thousands of likes. Dozens of comments. "You're so strong, Joanne. She'll come around. Kids always do. You deserve better." You ever feel like your reality is being rewritten in real time? Like someone's staging your life like a play, and you're the only one locked backstage? That post wasn't for me. It was for everyone but me. She was building a narrative. A martyr's script. And I was the villain now. I didn't reply. But I did archive it. I made a folder on my laptop titled, "Versions of Me I Didn't Approve." Inside it, screenshots, emails, comments, receipts. Later that week, I ran into my dad sitting outside the barn holding a photo I didn't recognize. It was of me, age 12, right after he left. I was standing by a Christmas tree, smiling with red eyes and clenched fists. He looked up at me. "I used to stare at this and wonder if you hated me," he said. I sat next to him. "I didn't," I said. "But they made it easy to forget that." He nodded, quiet, then said something I'll never forget. "They tried to love you by erasing me. But you're not missing pieces. You're just remembering them now." That night, I got another voicemail. This one from Lauren's husband. His tone was sharp, defensive. He said I was tearing the family apart. That my dramatic little investigation had caused irreparable harm and humiliated a woman who raised me. Then he said, "You owe her forgiveness. You owe all of us that." No, I don't. You know what I owe? I owe the girl who slept with tear-stained cheeks, wondering why her dad never called the truth. I owe her freedom. Not another apology to the people who gave her a story laced with holes. So I posted something too. Not on Facebook. Not in a group. Just a note on my private blog, the one I hadn't updated since grad school. Sometimes the person you needed protection from was the one who swore they were protecting you. Sometimes silence was survival. But eventually survival demands a voice. This is mine. No names. No blame. Just truth. It got 46 views. I didn't care. It wasn't for an audience. It was for me. The next morning, I changed my number. Blocked every line I didn't trust. Unsubscribed from family emails. Removed my name from shared documents. Deleted myself from the backup drive. Quietly. Completely. I know what people will say, but she's still your mom. Yeah. And I'm still her daughter. But she forgot what that meant first. The only message I got that day was from Drew. Just one word, respect. I don't owe anyone peace. I owe myself safety. I used to think healing would feel like a movie ending. A swelling score. A sunrise. Someone crying in the background while you pack a suitcase and drive off into your new life. But healing is quieter than that. It looks like brushing your teeth in silence. Buying groceries without guilt. Waking up and realizing no one is expecting anything from you today except you. It's been 5 months. Since I blocked them. Since I stopped being the fixer. Since I let go of the myth that family is owed unconditional access. You know what happened? Nothing exploded. No lightning struck. No tragedy rolled in to punish me for choosing myself. The world kept spinning. And I learned how to live inside it. I started a routine in Oregon. Coffee at 6. Walks with Dad. Reading again, books I abandoned years ago when my brain was too full of bills, lists, and emotional labor. I even opened a new bank account. Under just my name. No joint access. No auto pay for anyone but me. It felt strange at first, like betraying someone. But then I realized it was the first financial decision I made without guilt. And that's when I knew. I wasn't recovering. I was rebuilding. There are still moments. Little ghosts. A voicemail notification that turns out to be spam. A Facebook memory from a birthday I forgot I attended. A dream where Lauren is smiling and I'm 9 again and nothing has gone wrong yet. Those moments sting. But they don't knock me down anymore. Because I don't live in that version of me anymore. One afternoon, I found a box in Dad's garage labeled Spokes. Inside? Old drawings. Love notes I wrote him as a kid. A cassette with my voice on it saying, "I love you, Daddy, don't go." I listened to it 6 times. And then I cried. Not because I was sad. But because I believed her when she said he left me. And I lived years of my life under that lie. So I did something final. Quiet but big. I changed my name. Not all of it. Just the middle. From the one my mother picked to the one my dad always called me. Spokes. Legally. On paper. On purpose. Because she tried to erase him, and in doing so, she tried to erase me too. But now? Now I carry both of us. I didn't announce it. No posts. No new chapter captions. I just did it. A quiet rebellion. A declaration in ink. I haven't heard from Lauren since that last voice memo. Drew and I talk occasionally. Carefully. He's still in the system. Still caught in the role he was assigned. I don't blame him. But I don't pull him out either. That's the difference now. I know what's mine to carry and what's not. Sometimes I still get the question from friends, colleagues, even strangers when the topic turns to family stuff. They ask, but what if she changes? What if she apologizes? And my answer? She can change. She can apologize. But she still doesn't get access. Not to my money. Not to my energy. And definitely not to the version of me I've fought like hell to become. I planted lavender in the front yard last month. Same kind as the ones lining Dad's path. A full row. Neat. Soft. Resilient. They're blooming now. He calls them my shield. I call them proof. You probably think I'm bitter. Maybe I am. But bitterness taught me boundaries, and boundaries saved my life. I found one last photo in the bottom of that spokes box. Me and Dad mid-laugh, mid-blur, like we were already moving.